Okay, so we're starting lying down on the floor on our backs in a comfortable way for you. Perhaps having a blanket on and maybe a cushion underneath the head. You could cover the eyes with something if you wish. And perhaps having the legs outstretched, perhaps having them bent, perhaps having some support underneath the knees. Just take a few moments to find a comfortable place for you, for your back. And the arms can be by the side, with the palms face upwards and the fingers gently curled, or maybe resting lightly onto the abdomen, perhaps. Tuck the chin in slightly to lengthen the neck and softly close the eyes. And just take a few moments to allow yourself to settle into this pose. To settle into the ground, to come into contact with those sensations between body and ground. And gently releasing through the jawline, the lips, the cheeks and temples. Forehead. Having space between the lower jaw and the upper jaw. Space between the teeth. And then come to the natural wave of your breath. Just noticing how the breath is this morning, following it in your mind's eye. And allowing the breath to bring you here to your mat, to your yoga practice, and to the present moment. So during March, we're looking at the 5 Vayus or winds. So these are the 5, I wouldn't say breaths as such, but they are 5 components that make up the pranamaya kosha, which is our energetic layer. And it's the way that we deal with energy. And this week was the Apana Vayu. This is the air that moves away. It moves downward and outward. So we're concentrating a little more on the exhalation in our practice, but it isn't just the exhalation. It governs all forms of elimination and also reproduction. Physically, but it also governs our mental experiences. So it allows us to release the negative sensory, emotional, and mental experiences. And the basis of our immune function. So I'm just going to read a few words from Breath, The Essence of Yoga by Sandra Sabatini, one of my favorite books. And this is really concentrating on the out breath, the exhalation. When you first start to practice breathing, you just clean, clean, clean. Expel the old air. Not only the bad air of today, but all the breath that has accumulated inside, used but not expelled. If this burnt out energy stays inside, it creates heaviness, dullness, blockage, resistance. If it travels out of the body, it leaves you empty, and then the new air can really be nourishing. So say yes to this exhalation that wants to leave the body. Say yes to this inhalation that brings lightness and vitality. It is the exhalation that has to learn to be free and to carry out of the body all the unnecessary deposits. And then the inhalation is just beauty, novelty. It comes. You don't have to think about it. But in the beginning, the exhalation has to be encouraged to take away these small black ashes that otherwise stay inside. So having that sense with each exhalation of a letting go and each inhalation of a renewal. So then come back to the sensations of body on mat, on the ground, on the earth. And we will be doing quite a lot of thinking about the earth as usual, but particularly because it is prevalent with this Apana Vayu. Not only are we sending things downwards to the earth, but it's very much governed by the Muladhara chakra and the Svadhisthana chakra, these two lower chakras that connect us. So start to bring a little movement now to tips of toes and tips of fingers, perhaps running the tongue around the mouth. Then extending movement to ankles and wrists. Maybe taking the head from one side to the other, just being mindful of any eye covering you have on. And then perhaps having a gentle stretch or maybe drawing the knees in towards the body. Or maybe taking a few deeper breaths and sighing that breath away, perhaps. Just doing that a few times if that feels like a good releasing thing for you to do. And then popping any blankets to one side for the moment to be revisited later on. And then we'll extend the legs along the mat and take the arms down by the sides. We're going to work into the right side of the body first, and prana, the life force, comes to us through movement as well. So we'll see how movement on one side feels after a few little moves. Overused word. So let's breathe in and just extend the right arm overhead or down towards the toes if that's more comfortable, and push through the right heel and hold that stretch for a moment and then release. You can sigh if you like, bringing that arm down by the side. And do that 2 more times in your own time, stretching away. And whenever you're ready to exhale, releasing and letting go. So the Apana allows us to remove negative thoughts and emotions. So you could maybe visualize that going away, flowing away with each out breath. And then as you're ready, just draw both knees in towards the chest and have a little rock from hip bone to hip bone, just easing out the lower back. It's always a nice thing to do anyway after a full extension of the body to release the lower back a little. And then we'll take the left foot down to the ground, but keep the right knee onto the chest. And just bring some movement to the ankle, drawing some circles with the toes one way. And then the other way. And now place a hand onto the knee and then extend those circles into the hip. Small circles or wider circles to suit you today. And then reverse the direction. And come to stillness with the knee. Now take hold of the shin and we'll do 3 rounds of knee to chest, Apana. So breathing out and drawing the knee down towards the chest. You can engage the abs and lift the head to look down the center line if you wish. Inhale, soften the hold and bring the head to the floor. And do this 2 more times. Now we're going to do 3 with a leg extension when you're ready. So drawing the knee towards the chest, lifting the head again if you like. Inhaling, stretching the leg up towards the sky, pushing away through the heel as the head comes to floor. And then exhaling and locking in the bandhas as we lower the leg down to the ground. Bend the knee if you need to do so for your lower back. And do this twice more to the right side. When you extend the leg up to the sky, you could have that frothy, bubbling visualization of the prana that we looked at last week, and then exhaling, lowering down for those that watched last week's or came to last week's class. And then a 3rd time as you're ready. Just return to semi-supine when you've completed your rounds. So we're going to roll over onto our left side. You might like a blanket underneath the hip bone and just nestle the head down onto either a block or a cushion or your upper arm, your upper left arm, and have the knees stacked on top of each other at right angles to the body. First of all, we'll take the right hand and place it onto the right shoulder and just have a little circle around here. Just go in both directions a few times. And then we'll bring that hand down in front of us onto the fingertips or onto the palm for stability. Make sure you're onto the side of the hip and not onto the buttock. Then keeping the feet together, we're going to breathe in and raise the knee, the top knee, but keep the feet together. It's as if you've got a weight on top of the leg. So we're adding in that resistance here as we lift up. Then as we exhale, we're closing as if we've got a beach ball between the thighs. So really squeeze down. It's all about resistance here. We'll do this another couple of times, these little clam openers. Keep that resistance. It's not about how high you can lift the knee, it's more about that resistance and working into the thighs and into the core, of course. Okay, then we're going to extend the legs along the mat, one on top of the other. Straight legs, make sure you're onto the side of the hip bone. And flex the feet. Now with an inhalation, we raise the top leg. Keep that foot flexed as you go, again adding in resistance. Exhale, lowering, squeezing as you go. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And again, twice more. Okay, and then we're going to bend the knees again. Then take your right hand, just slide it across the body so that the chest opens, the shoulders come to the ground. Lift the right knee, place the right foot onto the ground, the left foot knee and the left foot comes to the ground. Then just draw the knees in towards the chest. Have a little gentle rock out. Good, and then extend the legs along the ground. Then just pause for a moment and compare the two sides of the body. Just take that awareness within, see how you're feeling. Notice any differences. There are no right or wrong answers. And then we'll start to the other side. So with a breath in, we're going to stretch down the left side, taking the left arm overhead, pushing away through the heel of the left foot. As you exhale, release, maybe sighing the breath away if you wish to. If that feels like a good thing to do, and then 2 more times in your own time. As you complete those rounds, just draw the knees towards the chest, gently release the lower back. And then placing the right foot onto the floor, keep the left knee onto the chest. Gently start to circle into the ankle. A few circles one way and then the other. And extend that circling into the hip, placing a hand onto the knee and circling the knee around a few times one way. And then back the other way. And then bring that knee to stillness, have the hands around the shin and just 3 rounds of taking the knee to the chest. So exhaling, draw the knee down, engage the abs, lift the head if you want to. Inhale, head to floor, just soften the hold very slightly. And then twice more. And as you're ready, we'll do 3 rounds with a leg extension. Drawing the knee in. Then inhaling that frothy sense of prana inhalation. Apana Vayu, and then exhaling that Apana, taking the leg down to the ground. So bend the knee if you need to do so. I'm doing 2 more rounds. Each exhalation is a release down into the ground. And whenever you finish those rounds, just come to semi-supine. There's absolutely no hurry for those that are still working. Good. Okay, then we roll over onto the right side this time. Cushioning the head down onto block, cushion or upper arm, knees bent at a right angle to the body and stacked one on top of the other. Left hand comes to shoulder and we just circle, little one way, a little the other way. Then we bring that hand down to the ground in front of us for stability. Coming to the clam openers, breathing in, keeping the feet together, raising the top knee as if there's a heavy weight on top. Exhaling, squeezing that beach ball as you come down. That releasing breath. So 2 more times. And then we'll extend the legs along the mat. Just make sure that you're onto the side of the hip and not onto the buttock, and then flex the feet. Breathe in and we're raising that top leg. You should find that the bandhas automatically contract here as well. Heavy weight on top, and then exhale, squeezing as we release that downward force of breath. And twice more. Good. And then we'll bend the knees. Take the left hand, let it travel over the body. And as you do so, that top leg lifts and the foot is placed onto the ground. The bottom leg lifts, foot onto the ground. Draw the knees into the chest for a moment to realign the back. And then just bring the feet to the floor or extend the legs along the mat and just pause for a moment and have that awareness of the 2 sides of the body and how that the practices, what's the experience of those practices? So now we're going to draw the knees to the chest. Only really actually if you've got socks on. If you haven't got socks on, you could just come to semi-supine. But for this is an exercise to take your socks off. So knees to chest, so take the socks off. And then placing the feet onto the floor, knees bent, feet and knees hip width apart. And the arms down by the sides. Palms down or palms up. Just connect now through the shoulders, the lower back, the soles of the feet. Re-establish the pattern of the breath. So it's a frothy inhalation, energy coming in. And then as we breathe out, it's like the sparkles of things that we need to get rid of, just being released into the ground. And then with your next inhalation, just press the lower back into the ground, press the chest into the ground, and you may feel that the hips lift slightly. And as you exhale, release the lower back from the ground and the rib cage just slightly raising. And you may feel that tilt into the pelvis. So doing that again. Flattening the back, the rib cage. And lifting the rib cage, lifting the lower back. And seeing what effect that has on the tailbone, onto the hips. Engage your soles of the feet to the ground as you do this. And then with your next inhalation, just start to lift the hips slightly off the ground, just to a height to suit you at the moment. And then as you exhale, that downward force drawing you down bit by bit. So we'll carry on. If you wish to, you could, when you inhale and lift, you could take the arms overhead, if that's comfortable for you to do so. And then on the exhale, you can lower those arms down to the ground as the back comes down. Just carry on for 2 or 3 more rounds. I mean, that frothy sense of inhalation as you lift, and then that sparkling letting go as you come down. And make the round that you're on the last round. When you come down for the last time, whenever that is, there's no hurry, then just draw the knees in towards the chest once again. And either rock and rolling to come up or rolling over onto one side and making your way to sitting or kneeling. Whatever is most comfortable for you. You can sit on a block or a cushion if you wish to. Just letting you all get settled. Much drinking of tea going on. Very much approve. Cheers. So we'll bring some movement now into the spine. So we didn't do any side bending and we didn't do any twisting. So that needs to be rectified. So we'll just take the tips of the right fingers down to the ground. And then as we breathe in, that frothiness as we raise the left arm, the hand can come to waist or to the shoulder or extend overhead. Keep a gap between arm and ear. Soften the right elbow. And then exhale as we draw the hand down towards the ground. Really feel the gravitational pull there, that downward moving force. And then inhale to the other side. Keep the navel in as you go. And then exhale, drawing you back down. Let's go back to the first side. Look up if that suits your neck spine. You don't have to do that at all if you don't want to. Exhale down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale at center. Exhale, twist around to the right. Just take hand, opposite hand to leg. Don't let the twist come into the neck. Keep it neutral. Inhale, come to center. But this is like a dishcloth being squeezed out, that release, that downward force as you exhale and twist. Breath in, back to center. We'll do that once more to each side. Then when you come back to center this time, just come to quiet. And we're going to place the hands into the lap, one on top of the other with the palms face upwards. Sitting nice and tall, engage the navel, shoulders down. We're going into prana mudra. So our next breath in, we're raising the hands up in front of us to about the chest or the throat. It's individual, isn't it, how far you can raise them, and then let them go and extend the arms out to just above shoulder height, maybe looking up. And then as we breathe out, bring the hands together overhead, perhaps changing the overlap of the hands, perhaps not. If you can't remember which way you went, it's fine. And then bring them down to the ground. Maybe bring the gaze down as well, if that's okay. So breathing in, lifting, following the hands, bring all of that energy up with the inhalation, Apana Vayu, and then breathing out the Apana, that downward moving force, not only with the breath, but perhaps with the eyes as well. Just letting the body sink down. So 3 more times in your own time, in quiet, your own experience. That peaceful energy, that connection to earth. We're now going to change to an upward energy as we come up to standing. So come up in a way that's right for you, or you might like to come onto your tiptoes, bring the fingertips to the ground, and then lift up through the legs. And then remove anything that you might have on your mat. Princess and the Pea here always has plenty to move. Okay, now we'll come to Tadasana as you're ready. Find your mountain pose. Just remembering those lines of energy between shoulders and feet, arms down by the sides. Little tuck into these lower bandhas, particularly prevalent as The Apana is to do with Svadhisthana Muladhara. And lift the sternum, let the shoulders come down, lengthen the neck spine, and then close the eyes or have a steady gaze to whatever you have opposite you. And then bring the awareness of the soles of the feet, so you're grounded to earth beneath. And a few weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, I can't remember, we did this analogy of the earth as a star. So this molten center of the earth. There's all that energy in the earth, so particularly at the moment. So as we breathe in, we can draw that earth energy up through the soles of the feet and into our bodies. And then as we breathe out, we can let go of anything that's no longer needed. And that's sent down into the earth, down to the core where it can be burnt away. To create fresh energy to come back up with that inhalation. Just let that breath flow for a couple of breaths or so. And when you next exhale, release, let go, soften hands, face, knees. And then take a little mooch to the front of your mat. You may already be there, of course, but I'm having to mooch there. And just, about a foot away from the front of your mat or something. Maintain that stance that we just had in Tadasana. And take the weight down through the right foot. And then just bring the left toes in front of you. Maybe raising that left knee up, maybe. Only if that's right for you to do so. Remembering your adrishti point, this concentration point. And then take those toes behind. They could come to the floor, or you could just raise them up slightly. Feel the strength and energy in both those legs as you do that. Then step this left foot back, bring the hands to the heart and come to warrior one legs. So that front knee is bent over the ankle or just towards you. And the feet are accommodating your body. You've had that sense of the ground beneath still. Breathe the breath with that inhalation and exhalation. We're going to use an inhalation to move into warrior two. So it's an upward energy as we breathe in, take the arms out, move the feet, and then breathe out and settle. A real sense of being drawn down as you come down. So every breath in, you're slightly lighter. And every breath out, you just let settle down. Feel the shoulders going down, all that downward moving energy. Make sure you're stretching through the inner thigh. We still have to remember our bits and bobs, making sure that we're safe. Good. So each inhalation floating, each exhalation sinking. So now another inhalation. Just lift slightly, straighten the front knee a little, but don't lock it out. Lean over to the right and then let that hand float down with the exhalation into triangle Trikonasana. The top hand can be to waist or extending up. Nice and open in the chest. Just engage that navel and the gaze to the right place for your neck spine this morning. Breathe that inhalation as a lift. Exhalation as a sinking. So not a physical lift, just a little lift and a sinking. Now, next inhalation, we are going to lift physically, lift up, take the hands to the lower back, bring your awareness over that right foot and then fold. So either come to halfway or you could come further down. If you can, we release the hands and just bring the hands down towards the ground. If that's not right for you, keep them on the lower back. Feel a little lift with each inhalation, exhalation. We're grounded into the pose. Now lots of energy with the next lift. So we're going to breathe in, bend the front knee and then push through the feet, lift up, come to bring the feet to parallel. And then bring the hands to the tops of the thighs. Now your next breath in, lift up, open the chest. And then as we breathe out, bend the knees slightly, take your bottom out behind you so you're rounding into the lower back but not the upper back. And then just come to either halfway or maybe lowering yourself all the way down to the ground. So hands either to thighs or to the ground, knees as bent as you need them to be for comfort. As we just find some release into the hamstrings, into the glutes. But still that inhalation is frothy, that exhalation is that sinking, that moving downward, grounding, letting go. So our next inhalation is going to involve a twist around to the right. The right hand will lift and come to waist or extend up, and the gaze can extend up as well if you wish. The exhalation, we move back downwards to the ground, or the hand comes to the thigh if you're working from the thighs. Breathe into the other side, twisting. And then breathe out and come down. We're going to breathe in and bend the knees and lift, push through the feet. Bring the arms up like a big star and then come back over that right foot and bring the hands down to the ground by the right foot. Bend the knee as much as you need to and then slide the right foot back into a downward dog. Engage the navel, feel the frothy inhalation and the exhalation here. Yeah, the hands can remain on the thighs if dog isn't right for you. And then we're going to walk the feet forward to the hands. Bend the knees, stick your bottoms out and then lift up and then stretch up towards the sky. And bring the hands to the heart. Okay, so we're going to do that to the other side. I'm just going to change where I am on the mat. So this time we're taking the weight down through the left foot and the right toes come out ahead of us, or we lift the right knee up, whichever. And then take the right toes behind us, or we can have that foot off the ground, just feeling the energy in the legs there. And step that right foot back, come to that warrior one position, the knee bent, hands at the heart. Find that place, find the energy. The next inhalation, we're going to lift to warrior two. So we come up, bring the arms to shoulder height, and then we sink into the pose. We gaze down the middle finger of the left hand, stretch through the inner thigh of that left leg. You've changed the feet accordingly for your body. And each inhale, you just have a lightness. Each exhale, just have a dropping down. Lovely, good, peaceful. Now breathe in and lift, straighten the front leg slightly, don't lock it out, lean over and then just drift that left hand down. Right hand comes either to waist or extending up. Gaze in the right place for you. You can look at the ground, you can look straight ahead, you can look up, whichever is right for you. So the left, you're leading with the left leg and the left hand is down by the leg and the right hand is extended up. Yeah, good. Okay, so next inhalation, we lift, bring the hands to the lower back, change the feet if you need to. And then we're folding over that left leg. So we're either coming to halfway, or you can release further down if that's comfortable. And if you like, release the hands to touch the ground. It may be a different experience on this side to the other. Still have that lightness of touch, breath, and then that grounding and releasing exhalation. Now, next inhalation, bend the knees slightly, push through the feet, lift up, come to the center, bring the feet to parallel, make a star shape. Good. And then bring the hands to the tops of the thighs. Use another inhale to open the chest. Exhale, bottoms go out behind us, soften the knees, come down either to halfway or coming all the way down to the ground with those hands. Just a couple of breaths there, releasing. And this time twisting to the left. So with an inhalation, taking the left hand to the waist or extending up. Exhaling, hand floats back down either to thigh or to ground. Inhale to the other side, hand to waist or extending up. Exhaling, floating that arm down to the ground. I'm going to bend the knees, take a deep breath in, push through the feet, come up, nice big star shape again. Oops, left really went the wrong way. Over the left foot, bring the hands down to the ground. Slide the left foot back into downward dog, or just come to a forward fold with the hands onto the thighs if you prefer to do that. Tuck the navel in, just don't let the chin drop down. And then from here, we're going to bring the knees down to the ground. So if that's not comfortable for you to do so, maybe come to standing and then bring the knees and come to all fours. So come on to all fours and hands just, I'm just checking your hands just beyond the shoulders, just slightly wider. And then a few rounds of cats, breathing in and softening and opening. And breathing out and drawing the navel in and arching the spine, having that downward motion again. And again. And the last round, at the end of your last round, just come down to child's pose for a couple of breaths before we get ready for the bit that you all came for. We're just resting as you're ready in child's pose. Good, and then we'll get ready for relaxation. So popping your warm things on, gathering your blankets. So once again, if you want to use an eye pillow or a scarf, something over the eyes, then do so. Maybe a cushion under the head, just making yourselves comfortable, having the legs in the right place for you this morning, maybe outstretched, maybe bent, maybe supported in some comfortable way. And have the arms in a comfortable place for you this morning. maybe out to the sides, perhaps resting onto the abdomen, the chin slightly tucked in, lengthening the neck, the eyes softly closed. And just allowing yourself to sink into the ground, to let go. To release and soften the jawline and the lips, the shoulders, the lower back, the toes and fingers, the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands. Just gently softening, releasing that exhalation, letting everything drain away that's no longer useful to you. Keep the simplicity of this beautiful journey of the out breath, out of the nostrils. This exhalation that creates space in between the bones, that sends you down into the ground, that sends you back up to the sky. It opens one door after another. The exhalation melts, breaks knots. The exhalation sets muscles free. The exhalation creates lightness. The exhalation creates space. There is a very precise moment in which the exhalation leaves, gets detached from the nostrils, and that is where everything might happen. There is a sense of immense relief, a moment, 1 second, no more than that, when the chance for something completely different happens. It's only a moment. The end of the exhalation is not pushed out, but released, given out to the outer world. At the end of the exhalation, your whole being is there waiting for the inhalation to move in. So this is prana by folds. Hands open to receive or give. And on the surface of each palm, a vortex spins, a galaxy of light and wind. Hands lift, arms reach, not to beseech or beg, but a drifting, dreamy, grateful movement, leading one again to stillness. Hands grow hot, then cool, and energy builds, a pool of life force waits for the shift from potential to kinetic. The world spirals into this slow breath sensation, the suspension of time and mind, love suffusing everything. So gently coming back to the sensation of body on the ground. Sounds in your room and beyond your room. And the sensation of the breath as it gently enters and leaves the body. Let's gradually start to bring a little movement to tips of toes and tips of fingers. Perhaps taking the tongue around the mouth. Extending movement as you're ready to ankles and wrists. Mindful of any eye covering, perhaps taking the head from one side to the other. Just gently starting to move in a way that suits you, your body and your mind and your heart center this morning. And perhaps rolling onto one side whenever you're ready, whenever you feel that's right for you, if indeed it is right for you today. And very gently, mindfully bringing yourselves up to sitting as you're ready. Keep those eyes softly closed if you wish. And then perhaps practicing palming, rubbing those hands together briskly, creating warmth. Cupping them over the closed eyes as you're ready. Allowing those eyes to blink open into that safe, warm space before letting the light very gently trickle in. Okay, so we'll complete our practice by chanting the mantra Om 3 times. So we're taking a nice tall back and a deep inhalation. Om. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me.